So here we go. Discussions for Government B. I mixed them up a little bit. Well, I didn't mix them up. I changed them up. So I needed to update this video for you. But basically, what you're going to do is when you get to a discussion question, there's some things that you need to pay close attention to so you can be successful on them. I used to have a discussion prep assignment, but I took that out because it just seemed like busy work for you, and it's not necessary. For this one, some things to keep in mind is number one, always cite, quote, and reference any ideas or sources that you use that aren't your own. You can paraphrase whenever possible to show your understanding, but if you use someone's exact words, including quote, citation, or reference, you need to cite that. If you use AI and it's not part of the assignment, you also need to reference that. And trust me, I can tell it's not that hard because the number one important thing to remember is that most of my discussions, if not all, require you to reflect on the concept relative to your own life, and AI doesn't do that. Okay, so again, there's a video in the class, I don't know if it's before this or after this, but that talks about authentic voice. Trust me when I tell you, I would much rather hear what you have to say versus what AI has to say. Unless, of course, the assignment asks you to use AI, but that's not this assignment, for example. So the instructions are pretty general. Answer all parts of the discussion prompt fully. Every prompt begins with what's one thing that you thought was most important. And so I'll show you the rubric here in a second. And then there are 2 or 3 more parts to each one of these discussion questions. And you are graded specifically on each one of those. And the total of all that is going to add up to 70 points, because then peer responses adds up to 30. Let's talk about peer responses. I do want you to react to what your peers say. If you're the first one here, there's not going to be anything. So you're going to have to come back to it. It's 30 points. It's not the end of the day if you decide not to do this. It doesn't break my heart by any means. But if you want to get full points, you got to do full work. And full work includes responding to peers' posts. Your responses, again, cannot be I agree or me too or yes or things like that. Short answers that show no engagement at all. I'm just not going to give you points. I'm not even going to answer. I'm not even going to respond to comments like I agree. You know it. I'm telling you now. Don't do it. Engage. Talk to your peers. It's the only bit that I have in my class where you sort of have to respond to a peer. Your peer sees it, but only if they go back to look at it. I don't even know. I think they get notification, but it's fine. You're not. It's a non-judgy thing. I just want you to look at what somebody else says and make a comment on it. Think about it. And if you don't agree with the comment, that's totally okay. We don't have to agree on everything in life, except that I'm awesome. St. Patrick's Day is cool. And what's one other thing? Oh, coffee is good. Other than those 3 things, yeah, we don't have to agree on anything. But seriously, let's look at how you're going to be graded. Like, let's look at the rubric here. So let me open the rubric up. And this is going to be similar in all the classes, so it just might vary a little bit different on the points here for questions 1 through whatever, whether it's 3 or 4. That's always going to add up to 70 points, and then your peer responses are 15 and 15. So in each part of the question, so like for this one, there's 4 questions. You can't see them now, but let me move this. There you go. These are the 4 questions. You see how, like, this says, why is a balance of power among executive, legislative, and judicial branches important to citizens? Okay, 2 sentences, quick, boom, easy. What do you think would happen to our government if one of the branches was removed? Again, what do you think? And then how would your own life be impacted? That's that personal reflection part, right? The sentence requirement is specific. It tells you exactly what I'm asking here, and on the rubric itself, 2 sentences, 5 points. It's the same, 5 points for each one of those things, and then the question itself is worth something. 10 points. So 15 points for the first question, 20, 15, 20. That all adds up to 70. But yeah, so pretty straightforward, and each one breaks down specific to that particular question. So the personal connection, you discuss your personal impact with specific examples for part 4. For part 3, provides a thoughtful response about the impact of removing the branch of government, right? And then for a lower score, you're going to talk about it, but you don't really get into detail, right? You're just kind of vague on it. But not as vague as maybe this lower tier response. I mean, I know it's subjective, but it's always subjective, right? I'm trying to give you an idea specifically of how you will be graded or impact on it. But so look at the rubrics. That's another thing. I have another video about the importance of rubrics, but generally look at rubrics so you know, and then that gives you a decent amount of feedback. And then if there's more that I need to tell you, it'll be in there. All right. This is the part where my favorite part, right? So there once was a king that was only 12 inches tall. Let me tell you, he was a horrible king, but he was a great ruler. Haha. Good luck.